Lincoln Riley is leaving Oklahoma. He's going to take the head coaching position at USC. That's right. The 38-year-old Riley has been the Sooners coach since January of 2017. He has had 2 Heisman winners in Norman, Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray, 4 Big 12 championships, made the college football playoff 3 times, but now he is taking his talents to the Pacific Ocean, going to L.A. Lincoln Riley to SC. Wow. All right, Barrett Sallee, and let's get Dennis Dodd into the mix. This is huge news in college football. Dennis, I'll start with you. Translate this.
Well, I'm floored. I mean, I think that's the initial reaction when I think we all put it to bed last night when Lincoln Riley said after the Bedlam loss that I'm not going to LSU. What he was saying was, I'm not going to the SEC, and I'm not going to LSU, and I'm not going back to Oklahoma. He'd been talking, obviously, to USC for a while about this job. The money's the money. The money was going to be the same roughly at LSU as it was at USC. You can get USC donors to pony up for Lincoln Riley. This is a lifestyle change. This is a chance to chase something different. I'm assuming he thought he'd accomplished everything he had at Oklahoma, except win a playoff game, obviously. But the sense of betrayal that Oklahoma has to feel right now, you know, don't think for a second that their move to the SEC, in some small part, depended on Lincoln Riley being there long term and leading them into excellence. Part of this story now is, where does Oklahoma turn? There's no Lincoln Riley out there. They're LSU. You know, they're grabbing at straws. So, and they go into the LSU. So, you know, there's a lot of people in the Big 12 saying, you know what, you know, that knife in the back, how's it feel right now? And that's kind of how it feels at Oklahoma. We're going to hear from him sooner or later. But and the final thought on that is the best day for the Pac-12 in about a decade. You know, USC finds its next Pete Carroll. I mean, they found the best name on the board they could get. This elevates USC, and by association, the Pac-12, which I don't have to recount, that hasn't been in the playoff for years, continues to flounder, is an afterthought. Not anymore. The flagship program is a fantastic coach.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Dennis, because you mentioned maybe he hit his ceiling at Oklahoma, and I think part of that is the fact that you can't recruit at Oklahoma the way that you recruit in the SEC, and he knows that. So he's done more with less, and I think that because of that, he looks at the future and thinks, well, okay, going to be an SEC head coach in about 3 years when Oklahoma moves to the SEC. How difficult is that going to be? And the truth of the matter is, it's going to be almost impossible, because he's not going to get the Jimmies and the Joes that he needs to compete on a week-in, week-out basis. So what do? Well, you go to L.A., where you don't have to compete with the SEC. He can sell his system to players in Southern California. Coaches are going to flock to him and try to get their players to commit to the program. So
Barrett,
it's
we
really
know he can recruit there. Right now, Lincoln Riley has 3 huge recruits coming to Norman next year, 2 5-stars and a 4-star, and all 3 live within 30 miles of USC. So he went into their neighborhood and already ate their lunch recruiting-wise. I sort of see this, Dennis, as you looked at a beachfront, beautiful property with a dilapidated house, and you said, I can fix that. And when I fix that, that's going to be amazing. Now, I live on a beautiful country ranch right now, but it's already fixed up. I can fix this up, and then it's going to be worth so much more than when I walked in. Is USC, if you get it right, a better job than Oklahoma?
If you get it right, it is. Because as Barrett mentioned, you're still scrambling to recruit there. There's not as big as a recruiting base. Oklahoma's recruiting base, going back to Bud Wilkinson, has been Texas, where they've competed favorably against Texas. I think a big part of this, and it may remain unspoken except for here, is going into the SEC. You're not only recruiting against Texas still, but Texas A&M, and now they're in your league. They may be in your division. I don't know how that thing's gonna go, and what's that going to look like? So it's tough for the right person at Oklahoma. I don't want to say it's any easier at USC. Yeah, he's got those 3 guys from California, but guess what? Everybody else is recruiting in Southern California. The top 4 quarterbacks in the country: Bryce Young, DJ. C.J. Stroud at Ohio State traveled a combined 8,000 miles to be at their schools to
And part of that, though, was because they didn't want to stay home, right? I mean, listen, I got to leave because I don't like what. But with Lincoln Riley now, I don't have to leave, I guess is what I would think about that. Barrett, let me jig you in on this. Are you surprised? And what's the better job overall? Is this a lateral move? Is it a move up? Is it a move down, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's a move up. And Eric, you used the real estate reference. And I think that's a very good way to look at this because his house and his neighborhood was kind of stuck in Norman. Like, this is it. It's not going to get any better. So if you can go to L.A. and you can build your house, renovate a house that's on the beach, that has the view that you want, then do it. And I think the success that USC had before it's fallen into this decade of dysfunction, it's still there. You can go get that. You can still be a successful juggernaut, especially in the Pac-12. I mean, look, we talk about Lincoln Riley getting kids in Southern California now. Think about what Mario Cristobal's been doing. He's been going down to Southern California and getting dudes since he got to Oregon, first as an assistant and now as the head coach. And so USC has to find a way to stop that. Lincoln Riley's system is going to play extremely well. Basically every high school in California runs what Lincoln Riley runs. So it is a step up from Oklahoma because I think for Lincoln Riley specifically, considering where that program is headed to the SEC, he realizes that's going to be a much harder job moving forward. USC is probably going to be a little bit easier.
Dennis, wrap this up. Do you agree that it's a better job? Overall, things considered, he took a better job, and this is a move up, not a lateral move.
That's not a lateral move. At age 38, at the top of his profession, if he can get there and recruit like Pete Carroll did, who got in a car and recruited 50-mile radius and brought in All-America 5 stars, and then maybe went to Florida to get a Mike Williams or something like that, he can do that. And that's what they were longing for. Barrett raised a good point. When Mario Cristobal in your own league is getting Kayvon Thibodeau out of Southern California and quarterbacks and talent and top 5 recruiting classes, you know something's wrong. And we should give a shout out here to Mike Bone, the AD at USC, who kept this under wraps, did not let anybody know about it. There was a point 2 weeks ago, EK, where Lincoln Riley was not around on a Tuesday, the Tuesday of the Baylor game, and he never explained why. He missed his press conference, he missed his radio show, and never did explain. He said it was personal reasons. I think we know where he was on that Tuesday, and even if he wasn't, we now know that he was negotiating or whatever, talking to USC in the middle of a season while Oklahoma was pursuing a playoff spot. It wouldn't be the first time by a coach, but things are changing fast in college football, and this is the mother of them all so far.
All right, let's bring in Chip Patterson, college football analyst. All right, Chip, I see you shaking your head. I'm going to translate this. Lincoln Riley to USC. Go.
One of the biggest head coaching moves that USC could have made when we do our coach rankings every single year. It did not take long for us to start to look at Lincoln Riley as a top 5, top 10 caliber head coach in the game. Compare that to where Clay Helton was ranked, and this is a massive upgrade for the Trojans. So clearly, under the leadership of Mike Bone, the new athletic director, they have gotten the kind of commitment together. And by commitment, I do mean the financials, but I mean also the kind of support that is going to be able to woo Lincoln Riley away from what I think is a top 10 job in all of college football. So for USC, after going through everything that it did with Clay Helton, where you were, kind of in the mix for a Pac-12 championship, but never really sniffing a national championship, now you are going to welcome in one of the true stars of the college coaching world. And to be able to get him from Oklahoma, I think this is just massive for the Trojans. And I shake my head because he was so emphatic after the loss to Oklahoma State when the rumors were that he would be leaving for LSU, when he said, "I'll tell you what, I am not going to be the next head coach at LSU."
He's right.
Said,
He's not going to be the next head coach.
Wow.
It's three different letters. It's not LSU, although I'm sure people in Oklahoma may have something to say to him that ends with the letter U. But anyway, what's your level of surprise that he takes this job? I mean, is this a step up? Is this a lateral move? Is it a step down in your opinion?
Lateral to up. And I think that is USC has been downgraded because of its performance and because of mismanagement from USC at its ceiling. USC's ceiling, I think, is higher than Oklahoma's ceiling could be. But I do think that the Oklahoma floor has been so much higher than where USC's floor has been under the Clay Helton era, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, and the like. So what Lincoln Riley was able to do at Oklahoma was even an upgrade from where Bob Stoops had the Sooners. Now, they win the Big 12 every single year, but you got the sense that these Big 12 champion Oklahoma teams, as they showed up to the college football playoff, were able to really put a scare in the teams that would go on to win the national championship. Against Alabama down in the Orange Bowl, they got themselves in a little bit of a hole, but Tua and Kyler Murray, man, they went touchdown for touchdown against each other. Joe Burrow did light you up in the Peach Bowl, but still, throughout that season, you were able to show that even without a Baker Mayfield, even without a Kyler Murray, Lincoln Riley was still able to make it work. The big question here is, as he makes that move from Norman, Oklahoma over to USC, is are you going to be able to change the narrative about the USC quarterback? Are you going to be able to change the fact that so many of the top quarterbacks in the state of California are leaving? Some of them to go out to the SEC or the ACC. I mean, Bryce Young, that is from California. And so as Lincoln Riley now makes that move, we start to look at his development of quarterbacks, his identification and evaluation of quarterback talent, plop him at a program like USC, and now all of a sudden we could really start to see a fix to that quarterback issue that seems to have lingered with the Trojans.
All right, last one. Why make this move? Like, specifically, is this about money? Is this about I want to live on the beach in L.A.? There's not a lot of beaches in Norman. It's a lovely place, don't get me wrong, but it's not necessarily good surfing. Why would he move? And ultimately, what is OU going to do? Who are they going to look at?
I think USC's on that list. When people talk about the jobs that you would just drop everything and go take, and I think that if Lincoln Riley looks at that as an opportunity, that might be one reason. The other piece of this is that the Sooners have fallen short and actually been moving in the wrong direction in the last two seasons. We went into this year thinking that it was going to be the year that the Sooners not only made it to the college football playoff, but won a playoff game, competed for a national championship, and we said that was going to happen with Spencer Rattler. The season that Lincoln Riley has had trying to manage Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams, the Oklahoma offense that was sputtering, falling short of success, I think that it might have really changed his relationship to the university. I think it undeniably has some kind of impact in his emotional state as he makes this decision, but USC is one of those jobs that you go and you take, no matter where you are. And that is there's a shocking thing to say about the Oklahoma coach leaving for USC, but I think that the Trojans really do have, with their history, a selling point that some coaches are going to be attracted to. Now, you mentioned what happens in Norman, because I've got to think that this is a stressful time, because you are about to make a move to the SEC. Now is not the time for you to start backsliding. Lincoln Riley was there winning all these Big 12 championships, trying to get you ready, raising the level of where they were on the recruiting trail, recruiting against SEC teams. And that was supposed to get the Sooners ready so that when they arrive in the SEC, you don't all of a sudden find yourself as what, the 6th, 7th, maybe 5th at best team in the conference. So this hire is of massive importance because of conference realignment. And I don't think there is a home run hire name that comes to mind. We do have one that is very interesting, and it is going to be Tennessee coach Josh Heupel, who in just 1 year with the Vols has exceeded some of the preseason expectations. He has shown the ability to field a wide open offense, and he was competitive against some of the tougher opponents on their schedule. But is Josh Heupel going to leave Tennessee after just 1 year to go return to Oklahoma? Is Oklahoma setting its sights on Josh Heupel, or do they want someone with a little bit more experience at the Power 5 level? This is a massive coaching search for the Sooners because of the timing. It is one that they cannot afford to get wrong, or else it'll lead to some really tough times once they make the move to the SEC.
Well done, Chip Patterson, on the situation. And here's what it is. Lincoln Riley is going to Southern Cal. Made the playoff 3 straight years. Didn't win the title, but got there. Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2018. Won 4 straight Big 12 titles. About 55-10. Closed the book on him in Norman. Lincoln Riley is going to Los Angeles.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.